This is Doug Odell, the bass player from the band Ice Age, and you are watching the Case for Bass podcast. Keep it low.
The magic that happens when you're in, generally a three-piece band is something that when you break into bigger bands, sometimes you're not as input savvy as opposed to having all this room and letting it rip. And I know in Ice Age, you've got a lot of talented players that can fill the gap. And how do you work with the keyboard player who's also the lead singer, which there's so many heavy presences in the sounds that are coming out of that band, and it's amazing how you can make that work.
Well, it was definitely a learning and growth opportunity for me because, first of all, when I joined the band, which was in 2001, their level of musicianship, like I really had to up my game. Anything I had ever done up until that point, just to be able to keep up with them. These guys, they're
now, was that something that was verbalized? Did they say to you, step up, or did you more or less do it yourself?
No, it was on me. Okay. It was on me to step up. Like I had to prove it to myself and I auditioned and I got the gig on the spot.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Thank goodness.
That is awesome.
But then,
as bass players should.
Yes.
But to continue to keep up with them and also find my place in the band, because it's one thing when you join an established band and they had a couple of records out. So what's your job? Your job is learn the bass parts on the records. But now when you're thrown into a situation where you're immediately writing new music with these guys, now you have to step up in the context of you've got to write something that's going to fit. And when you have a band like Ice Age, where all of the players, and it's because it's Prague, it's busy. So how do I come up with something that's not going to step on the vocal, that's going to complement what's happening rhythmically? Like you said, the keyboard player, and Josh has also a very active left hand, and he writes great bass parts as well. So it's you want to be able to work
cooperate.
With that. Yeah, cooperative.
It also sounds like you want to have your own identity as well. Like the fact that you said he writes great bass parts is complimentary to him, but at the same time you're the bass player, and also thinking from a songwriter's perspective, it's like that's cool, dude, but I want to add in my flavor as well.
And you got to coordinate that with the drummer.
Yes, absolutely.
What I was lucky about, and what I continue to be lucky about with Ice Age, is they always let me be myself, and they encourage me to write my own parts. And I'd come up with something, and they would give me that feedback, and they would, and sometimes it would be a thing where I wasn't sure what to do with a particular part or song, and I'd give them a few different options. I'd say, what do you think of this? I'll try that. I'd present them with different iterations of a bass line and then let them guide me. If it was something where I wasn't naturally feeling it and I needed that. And then they would say, lean into this or try that or combine these two things.
Okay.
And so there's just so much mutual respect and admiration, and there's no egos in Ice Age where you get nourished.
I'm going to give you a big congratulations for that, because most bands don't have that. Yeah, most bands, especially when the bass player, because the bass player tends to come in, I find that for most people I know who play bass, their experience, especially when they're new in the band, think about how Metallica treated all the bass players after Cliff Burton passed away. I mean, they just treated them like crap. And I've heard that from several bands. I came from a band that I would outshine the singer, and the drummer didn't like that, and it was like, all right, goodbye. It's like, but the fact that you're in a band where they appreciate you, and again, there's no egos. That's a rarity. That really,
I'm going to quote
rarity.
Steven Tyler, and this is somewhere on the internet probably a million times, but he goes, "There's no democracy in a rock band." And that's the way him and Joe Perry, manhandled Aerosmith. And you never really hear the stories, from Hamilton or Joey Kramer and who's that, Fred Whitford, and how they made it work was, I guess, essentially a follow the leader. And we love the way Tom Hamilton plays. I'm a huge fan. And it was like the Love in the Elevator. It was that when they really went into a more modern sound, and he went into a drop D.
Yes.
And it really opened the door for not only me getting a hip shot, but just how he worked within the construct to be cooperative. And it takes a lot of credit and a lot of maturity to be in a band with so many pieces, with so many parts.
Yes,
as you're in.